Well, he pleaded not guilty. Surprise, surprise. He actually wanted to say it in his own words. He has this kind of double personality, when he's in his comfort zone, when he's on the stage at Mar-a-Lago or at a rally or, anywhere in Florida, he feels like he's with his people, he can do no wrong. But the moment you take him outside of his comfort zone, the insecurities, the sadness, the anger, the vitriol comes out in his face. You can really see how he changes physically. And that was very much the case in the Manhattan courtroom today, where he sat in front of a judge and was effectively read his rights. And, he was solemn and he looked sad. He looked pissed off, to be honest. Was not happy to be there. Was utterly humiliated, you could say. This is a former president of the United States who committed crimes throughout his presidency and, of course, for decades before, who has managed to get away with it for this entire period. He'd managed to get away with attempting to overturn the election. He still claims that he's the president. Joe Biden's illegitimate. And when he's at Mar-a-Lago, he is the president. People call him Mr. President. He wears the badge. He, has a mock-up of the Oval Office as his office. He basically behaves as if he is, and probably has behaved like he is the president his whole life. He's the president of the Trump organization. That's really as far as this ever should have gone. Somehow, off the back of a successful run on The Apprentice, he managed to convince people that he knew how to hire and fire. The reality is that was never his decision. That was down to the producers. If only the producers ran the country for 4 years. What we had with Donald Trump finally being held to account for many of these injustices that have made other people's lives very difficult. And that's what we sometimes forget, is that there is always a victim. There is always somebody or a group of people, or in this case, pretty much half of the country, that have suffered at the hands of this man. An autocrat, somebody who believed that he deserved to be the president forever. And that it was, almost a divine decision, a divine right to be the boss of the whole country. But not all the people. That's the thing. Donald Trump was never a president for everybody. Only the people that loved him and liked him and supported him. He couldn't care less about people that didn't. And that really, for me, is the reason why he was never presidential. He never rose to the occasion. So what we saw in him in the courtroom was a little boy. I saw a disgruntled child being held up in front of the principal, being told off, and he doesn't like it. Normally he's in charge. And it kind of got me thinking, we often refer to Donald Trump as being a bit like a mob boss. Some of the language he uses, the way he conducts himself, the way he does business. And then I thought, we've been getting this wrong for too long. He is a mobster. The Trump crime family is the mob. They are the ones who pull the strings. They're the ones who sue people. They're the ones who fire people. They're the ones who call the shots. They're the ones who evade law enforcement by payoffs or any of these things that the mob would typically use. And I suppose we're so obsessed with, The Sopranos or something, that we presume that the family has to be Italian, but it's not the case. I really noticed it when he left the courtroom, in silence, but with that pigeon chest kind of puffed out. And when he got in that motorcade and then went to the airport and got on his ridiculous branded aeroplane and then flew back to Florida, it was only then that he got up on a stage and made a ridiculous kind of rambling speech that was just like a lazy version of the stuff he says at rallies. You would have thought if you're a former president and you have been indicted and arraigned and you appear in court and you want to say something afterwards, that you might have written it down first. You might have rehearsed it or even just thought about, a new angle that you could present. But no. It was none of those things. It was the same old rally speak, the kind of tired, angry, lazy, negative, complaining about everybody else as if he had done no wrong. He didn't actually say at any point, "I'm innocent." He never says that, and his lawyers never refer to him as being innocent. They just try and blame everybody else. Everyone knows how annoying cheap razors are. The cuts, the irritation, the frustration. And don't get me started with subscription razor services. The headaches those can cause. That's why you've got to meet Henson Shaving. Henson Shaving is a family-owned aerospace parts manufacturer that has made parts for the International Space Station and Mars rover. And now they're bringing precision engineering to your shaving experience. Razor blades are like diving boards. The longer the board, the more the wobble. The more wobble, the more nicks, cuts, and scrapes. A bad shave isn't a blade problem, it's an extension problem. By using aerospace-grade CNC machines, Henson makes metal razors that extend just 0.0013 inches, which is less than the thickness of a human hair. That means a secure and stable blade with a vibration-free shave. And it gets better. The razor has built-in channels to evacuate hair and cream, which makes clogging virtually impossible. Seriously, Henson Shaving wants to be the best razor, not the best razor business. That means no plastic, no subscriptions, no proprietary blades, and no planned obsolescence. The Henson razor works with standard dual-edged blades to give you that old-school shave with the benefits of new-school tech. Once you own a Henson razor, it's only about $3 to $5 per year to replace the blades. My first shave with the Henson razor was incredibly refreshing. The design is sleek, the durability is top-notch. The Henson razor is truly so much better than your run-of-the-mill, quote-unquote, traditional razor brand. And the affordability factor is absolutely game-changing. No more wasting your money on expensive blades. With Henson Shaving, you can get a year of blades for $5. It's time to say no to subscriptions and yes to a razor that'll last you a lifetime. Visit hensonshaving.com/weekend to pick the razor for you and use code WEEKEND and you'll get 2 years worth of blades free with your razor. Just make sure you add them to your cart. That's 100 free blades when you head to hensonshaving.com/weekend and use code WEEKEND. But in this speech, he attacked and threatened Alvin Bragg, the Manhattan DA, who brought this indictment upon him, which the grand jury voted on. Alvin Bragg's wife was mentioned and criticized. Judge Merchant was criticized. The judge's wife and the judge's family. Fannie Willis and Letitia James, two other, people who are bringing cases against him who he hates. He hates the fact, in that case, he hates the fact that they're female, he hates the fact that they're black. With Alvin Bragg, he hates the fact that Bragg is a black man. He refers to reverse racism, which is just ridiculous. I mean, he's running out of things to say. He really is backed into a corner. And that's why I'm kind of starting to enjoy his stream of consciousness that we see on Truth Social, this exclamation marks, the capital letters, and this vitriol. And then finally he took aim at Jack Smith, the special prosecutor, who is about to unleash, the full power of the Justice Department on Donald Trump, not just for his theft of documents after he left office, but of course, for the insurrection, for the fact that the president overturned for a period of hours the election. He delayed Joe Biden's confirmation. I mean, that in itself is, for me, one of the most serious crimes, an insurrection against his own country. He doesn't see it. His ego, his narcissism, it's so powerful that he cannot see how any of these things could be considered criminal activity because he has never played by the rules, he has never followed the law, he is a mobster. He is a crime boss, he is from a crime family going back to his father and of course his children. He is everything that we feared. And so in the past when we referred to him as being a bit like a mob boss, it was all on display. He's a mob boss. That's who we elected president. Donald Trump fits the description perfectly. Look at the people that he surrounds himself with. Rudy Giuliani, with the big signet ring, and Paul Manafort. These people are also aggressors. They are people who threaten people all the time. They're the people who pay people off and silence people and, make people disappear. That is who he has surrounded himself with. You know, all of his 2016 campaign people all ended up getting done for something. They're either, you know, in prison, or they're wearing a ankle bracelet, or they're out on probation or something. I mean, all of them. Those are his people. Baddies, criminals, cons, ex-cons. These are the people that he seems to think are the best of the business. You know, he's drained the swamp, and this is what's left. Roger Stone. That's who was left. So I think that's really what got to Trump the most, that he has always been above the law. Always. And he does it in plain sight. I mean, that's the thing. He doesn't even try and hide it, because he's got so much ego, and he's so used to this power game where nobody would dare criticize Donald Trump, because, you know, he's the one with all the power, especially in Manhattan, especially now in his new home of Florida. And so there it is, Donald Trump arraigned in front of a Manhattan judge, and then he skulks back to his home and to the comfort and the support of his sycophant base. And that is how the story ends, certainly this chapter. There's a lot more to come. We're hearing a lot from Jack Smith now, from his office. We're hearing a lot more from Letitia James's office. We're starting to see that the walls are closing in on the former president, the disgraced former president, Donald John Ebenezer Trump. I'm Anthony Davis. You can hear me every day on the 5-Minute News podcast, and on Sundays on the Weekend Show with MeidasTouch.
Lock him up! Indictment season is upon us. Celebrate with the new Indictment Season t-shirt and v-neck exclusively at store.meidastouch.com.